Hey, it's Mrs. Conway again. So now what I would like to do is walk you through what a paragraph proof would look like for an A. Now the nice thing about a paragraph proof is I do think it's a great way to get your thoughts written down, even if you haven't necessarily solidified the math all the way. You can still get pretty good without having to break it down quite as much, and so you can use it. Honestly, it's a good way to help you get that B, that you can do a proof, but maybe you can't do it with all the vocabulary. So, which is, remember our criteria here, you need to be able to, show each step and use mathematical language, but to get an A, you need to be able to use the specific vocabulary terms. So, I am going to do this one below these two. So I'm going to actually grab our original, picture here and copy it down below because space. Okay, so for a paragraph proof, we're going to, write a paragraph. So we need, I'm going to type it because I'm on a computer. You could write this by hand, obviously. And sometimes I might pause in my typing and write some stuff out. So we always need to start, the one thing that's going to be kind of backwards with writing a proof is you start with your given and your last sentence should be, therefore, DBC is acute. So we're actually going to start by saying we know, way back down to 11, which is not going to be visible at all to you guys, that angle ABC is, we also know segment BD bisects. And so that's me stating my given. So again, if you remember from the flowchart proof, some things flowed from ABC being obtuse. Other things flowed from BD bisecting ABC. So I'm going to start with what I know so I would start by, I'm going to start by using the information that BD bisects ABC. So we can say that the measure of angle ABD is going to have to equal the measure of angle DBC, because of the definition of angle bisector. Okay, so that flows from our given that BD is a bisector of ABC. We also can say that the measure of angle ABD plus the measure of angle DBC equals the measure of angle ABC from the angle addition postulate. So this is the part where if you can't really remember why, you could say something like, well, because the angles have to add up to each other. And that won't get you full credit, but it'll at least get you better than nothing. So then you would say, so by substitution, we can say that the measure of angle ABC would have to equal, well, so this is where we would say the same thing again, but with substitution. The other thing is that since we're explaining it, you could also be a little bit less step by step. So we would also say, okay, if ABC is obtuse, since ABC being obtuse will tell us that the measure of angle ABC has to be less than 180, but it also has to be more than 90, remember. I think the really important part there is that it has to be less than 180 because otherwise it's a straight angle. So we know that the measure of angle ABC has to be less than 180. We also know that ABD plus DBC equals ABC, and we know that ABD and DBC are the same. So here we can say that since ABD and DBC are the same, so here's where we might be a little bit more just explaining rather than using the specific math. We would say that since ABD and DBC are the same, then we're trying to prove DBC is acute. So the measure of angle DBC, the measure of angle DBC is going to be half the measure of angle ABC, because, in fact, this piece of information, I'm going to put it up here. I'm going to say ABC and DBC are the same. So I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to use the word thus. So, thus, the measure of angle DBC is half of the measure of angle ABC, because the measure of angle ABD equals the measure of angle DBC. So it's not so hard to do these if you're just writing the words out. It's important though to make sure you put your sentences in the right order and that each thought flows from the one before it. Okay? So then, since we know that ABC has to be less than 180, we just established that DBC is half of ABC. So the measure of angle DBC must be less than half of 180, and half of 180 is 90. So the measure of angle DBC has to be less than 90 degrees. And then this is where we would say, therefore, angle DBC is acute because acute angles are less than 90 degrees. So the paragraph proof ends up looking a lot shorter, partly because I typed it, than the other proofs. But it does require a firm understanding of the English language so that you can use the right words in the right order. And again, remembering that when you write a paragraph proof, you start with what we know are givens. You add in information that we know because of postulates and theorems, and then you end with the proof. Therefore, DBC is acute. Make sure you defend each thing you say. You can't just say something without some sort of mathematical defense. So, I suggest that you practice proving this proof by yourself if you haven't done it yet. You know, you've seen 3 different ways to do it. Choose the method that made the most sense to you and try and do it without looking at, you've seen the video, try and do it without the video. And then make sure when you come back to class, you show me what you've done so I can check it and tell you if it actually would meet standard. If you're struggling with the vocabulary, watch the vocabulary video. I also suggest practicing your Delta Math just to get good practice with using the vocabulary words. So, go out there, get some practice, and good luck.